Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. I am your host, Cheats. Joining me, as always, man, my right-hand man, my Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson. You can be Ric Flair, Flobo, four horsemen in the building. Flobo is joining us, and he's joining us for a very specific reason because Flobo is really our guy that talks all things about Baseball United, which we're really excited about. But joining us, our very, very special guest, the man in the middle, if you will, is Kash Shaikh, who is the founder, president, CEO, Mr. Do-It-All, Swiss Army knife. I'm talking about getting it all done for Baseball United. Kash, we rarely have return guests this fast, but we are so excited to talk to you because of all the things that you have going on. Welcome to the mixtape, my man.
Thank you, guys. Cheats, Flobo, man. Always great to see you guys. Love what you do. And so pumped to be back on the show, man.
Well, we're excited to talk to you. I'm still jealous of Flobo's trip to Dubai last year. I did not get to go. I watched.
You went to the Bahamas instead, man. What are you talking
about? In the wee hours of the morning, I'm watching all kinds of live streams.
Flobo was in the land of Lamborghinis and Ferraris. He was on scenic camp rides.
Hey, look,
in champagne at the Atlantis. I mean, dude,
he's having Thanksgiving with Barry Larkin. He's doing all kinds of things. So I'm gonna give Flobo the first question because there's been so much progress since that trip in last November to today. Flobo, you've got Kash on the horn. What do you think, man? How do you set this up?
The first thing I was telling you, Cheats, I was like, man, B was never not moving, but it felt like there was a little bit of a lull, and then bam. And so I want to start before that because it looked like season one was going to be an indefinite thing, but now it's a definite thing, and the BU Cup and the Arabia Cup. So walk me through that. The idea of saying, look, we have one press release with 3 different announcements that we met nowhere last month.
Well, you're exactly right, man. We had the showcase last November, which feels like 50 years ago, but it was less than a year ago. But like all of us and like all fans, we're all impatient and we all want things to happen. And I'm probably the most impatient person when it comes to building. But really for the 7-8 months following November, we were just deep in the trenches. I was deep in the trenches, multiple countries, infinite government conversations, infinite vendor partnership conversations, trying to figure out what's the right path forward. What's the right league format? What's the right number of games? Where the hell are we going to play? You know, how many different type of events can we do? How can we support our grassroots strategy? How can we bring the national teams from the region along with what we're doing? You know, how do I continue to staff up the organization? Because when we did our November showcase, 75% of the people, 80% of the people there were from my agency in the US. We had a couple full-time BU employees. People didn't know that. We really didn't have a staff in Dubai yet. That was the crazy thing we did with the showcase. Over the last 7 months, we built a 30-person team in Dubai now at our global headquarters. Now we built the office out. So we got more investors. We need more money. So we were doing all that for 7 months, and we finally came up with the plan, man, that I feel so grateful and blessed for. I call it our event block. And our event block strategy was basically to have 3 tiers of events. Tier 1 is the gold standard league that we've all been working towards and excited about. That's going to be taking place in October and November of 2025. That's our BU franchises. That's our professional players playing in a league format. We're going to have 5 franchises. Playing a total of 33 games in 32 days in Dubai. To be honest, between us, since I'm talking to baseball guys, each franchise is only playing 12 games. So it's like a week and a half in MLB. It's a blink.
Right.
But for Dubai, that footprint of 33 games in 32 days across all franchises is insane. It's never happened before. Dubai is a city where you go for a weekend event. There'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday rugby, Friday, Saturday F1. There'll be a 2-game showcase. You never have a footprint of 30 games, you know, in a whole month consecutively like we do with baseball. So it's going to be a mental shift, a step change for the fans out there. So we wanted to pilot it in the right format. We're also going to do the BU Cup, as you mentioned. That's coming first next year in February 2025. That's going to be the first time ever our 4 founding franchises take the field. Mumbai, Karachi Monarchs, which I'm rocking right now.
Let's go.
The Arabia Wolves.
Oh, wait a second. How is that? There's no favoritism here. How's this working? How's this working?
He knew I was a Falcons fan. That's why.
My mom was born in Pakistan, so I got to represent the mom. I got to represent. So
I like it.
So we got the BU Cup, which will be 10 games in 8 days. That will be like a great initial professional set of games for us. And then, working all the way up till backwards here to November in a couple months, we decided that we wanted to start this whole journey at the grassroots level with the national teams from the region. We will have 9 national teams competing in Dubai as part of the Baseball United Arab Classic. First time ever we've had this many teams. First time ever Saudi's going to have a team. First time ever the UAE is going to have a team. First time ever India is going to play Pakistan on an international stage like this in baseball. When India plays Pakistan in cricket, 600 million people watch. When they play them in chess, 100 million people watch. So, it's going to be a big deal. And that's going to be in November, man. So we've got these 3 events as part of this event block that we feel is the right footprint, the right size, the right scope for us to start building our league and having our games.
Almost kind of like a festival atmosphere. But I guess the big news for me was the release of the renderings of the future Baseball United Park, Barry Larkin Field. I mean, first of all, congratulations on that, because it looks absolutely majestic. But I guess I have 2 questions. One, the ideation behind that. But more importantly, I remember at the showcase last year, you wanted to bring a different fan experience to the game. How will that translate on the new field?
Well, dude, I mean, if you had told me when we started this that less than 3 years in, we'd be building a ballpark, I would have told you there's no way. But just the fact that we're crazy enough to try this, to do this, is a blessing. The reality, man, and every time I talk to you guys, I try to just keep it real and be honest about everything. The reality is, I didn't start this year saying we're going to build our ballpark. The reality is, as an entrepreneur, you run into boulders, obstacles, mountains in front of you, and you try to figure out how to get around them or through them. And one of our obstacles, and one of the reasons, to be honest with you, where we had 7-8 months, we we're trying to figure our shit out, was the lack of venues in the region. And the venue that we used, Dubai Stadium, we had a great experience. We turned that field, as you know, that beautiful cricket field into a beautiful baseball diamond. But there were some challenges with it. Number one, scheduling. It's a cricket venue. It's the premier cricket venue in the region. There's always stuff going on there. And trying to find a footprint or a calendar of time where we could not just play our games, but create the field, which takes a few weeks, and then enable the field to grow back, grow the grass back for cricket and all that. That takes a month. So you need like a couple month, 3-month time period to play, which we just couldn't find. And that was like frustrating to try to figure that out, that kind of, chess game of how is this going to work. The other thing that, was less than ideal in that venue was it's a great venue. It's an international facility. It's 26,000 seats though. And honestly, it's a little bit too big for us right now. We're still a startup league. We're still teaching the game. For us, I really felt like that 5,000-6,000 seats for what we're used to, an awesome minor league ballpark, really is what we needed. Because even though we had 5,000 people there, when you have 26,000 seats, it feels empty. It doesn't look great on broadcast. It's just not the vibe that we wanted when you talk about the experience, Flobo. So I was like, those 2 instances or those 2 realities are like, we want it to feel more energetic and crowded. And most importantly, we need to control our dates. We need to be able to, the whole league is based on dates. So we said, you know what, we're going to go try to find somewhere to build our own ballpark. There's no professional baseball fields or ballparks anywhere in the Middle East and South Asia. You can drive 10,000 kilometers north, east, south, or west from Dubai. You're not going to find anything. And we said, we're going to go build our own. We found a great partner in Emirates. You all know Emirates Airlines. Mm-hmm. And the Sevens. The Sevens is this multi-sport facility that they built. Started with rugby. Now it's netball, paddle, soccer / football, etc., cricket. And we said, I went there and I saw these cricket ovals, and I went to him and I said, I see a bunch of sand here that ain't nobody using right now.
Run your sand.
Yeah. And I was like, what if we build a baseball park here? And it started almost honestly, like a joke in a way. People were like, are you serious? And it quickly, materialized because they saw the angel and the marble, the vision behind it. We work with Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism. They've been amazing. I went to them and say, look, do you want baseball here, professional baseball? Does Dubai want baseball? And it actually gives me goosebumps because I remember that meeting, and a lady named Natalie, who's been great over there, she was like, yes. And I said, all right, well, here's what we need. We need a freaking ballpark. We need a place to call home, and we got together and we figured out how to make this happen. And it's really, a huge milestone. It's groundbreaking because the first time that you'll have a professional ballpark there. And now not only can we have our Baseball United games, but as you're seeing with the Arab Classic, now there's somewhere for these national teams to play. In a country of 1.4 billion people in India, there's no professional baseball fields. People ask like, well, why is the India national team not good? I'm telling you, the talent's there. I've seen it. They got nowhere to play. They got no facilities. They don't have the coaching and the curriculums. Now we can start to build an infrastructure in Dubai, then hopefully grow from there, where we can host academies. We can bring prospects in. We can do clinics in addition to the tournaments and the games that we're doing. So we're very, very excited about the field.
Let me ask you, because you announced the kind of the way that the announcements worked out. We announced the block before you announced the stadium. The stadium was a recent announcement. Yep. When do you think the stadium will be online? Will the Baseball United Stadium be
how
online?
Insane I am. So I'm crazy, bro. So originally, first I wanted to get the event block dates out because I wanted people to understand that the dates are happening. While I was finalizing the negotiation with the Sevens and Emirates on the ballpark, which we got done. And then originally then I went and got all the vendors, John Medrick, Herbie Pilata, Deepak Thomas, Josh Varghese, our core team. We went and got the best partners and vendors in the world to go build this. Musco Lighting. They are the best stadium ballpark lighting company on planet Earth. I mean, they've done Great American Ballpark. They've done Wembley Stadium. They've done pretty much all the MLB stadiums. All the little leagues that you know of around the country and the world, they've done. Musco Lighting. We're getting a state-of-the-art lighting system, with light shows. So when our closer comes in, we can do what the Mets do and what the Astros do and all that. So we can have some fun with the fan experience. We got a company called SIS Pitches to help us build the grounds, the surface, the netting, the poles, the fencing. They're one of the best in the world at building fields and surfaces for sports. And then one innovative thing we're doing that's entrepreneurial that a lot of people don't know, and they'll learn as we bring it to life. And you'll see when you guys get out there. We're strategic on the seating. We're working with a partner called Alathe, and they basically do this modular, movable seating. It's really like scaffolding and cladding and all that. Like if you remember what just happened a couple months ago in New York for the Cricket World Cup, it built that whole stadium in New Jersey, but it was temporary seating, really. Because when you do the concrete seating, obviously it costs a lot higher as well. And, there's a lot of infrastructure to build in. With the modular seating, now that ballpark can be 2,000 seats or it can be 6,500 seats, and we can scale it up or down depending on what's happening, depending on ticket sales, et cetera. And it's a bit more efficient and we can learn from it. So we're working with a company called Alathe to build that. I got all those partners on board, and part of the partnership, I said, guys, our goal is to get this ballpark done by December 31st. I want it done this year.
Insane.
Yeah.
What?
And they were all in. Everybody was like, it's going to be a sprint, but we're going to do it. After everybody signed the contract, which was a couple weeks ago, we had an event in Dubai to announce it before we announced it to the press. And before that event, I called everybody to our office and I said, guys, I know it's going to be a sprint to get this done, But I want you to know we also have another event called the Arab Classic in November, and we need somewhere to play for that too. So I know I can do December 31st, but I need it by November is what I told them. So,
Jeez.
dude, we are literally trying to get the base part of the field and even the lighting up. 8 towers, 15 million lumens of light by November 1st. You know, in a worst case scenario, if the lighting doesn't fully come up, I got to shift some of the schedule because we only have day games, Arab Classic, all the stuff. But I'm not even letting my brain go there. I really believe we're gonna get this done so we can play the Arab Classic there, which is freaking insane that we'll have it in 2 months, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, out of like sand, little sand, like you said.
Yeah.
I also have to give a shout out to the fact that you're able to work with both foreign and local investors, right? Everyone's kind of like, hey, man, Baseball United gives back to the local economy while it's building. So I noticed in some of the renderings, though, a feature kind of made it to the new ballpark, and it was the cabana seating, something I saw firsthand at the Dubai Cricket Ground last year. I mean, what was that like, taking some of the local elements that worked for you before and transferring over and seeing some of the things going, let's improve what we did before?
Dude, the cabanas were amazing, as you know. They were just like this novelty that became like a cool point of difference for us. We sold them out every night. It's bottle service. It's, buffet food, and it's a unique experience. Now, we were able to do that in Dubai Stadium because the cricket pitch is a circle. So you have all this extra room on the foul lines, first and third base, as you saw, Flobo. In the new ballpark, it's a baseball field. So we actually don't have as much room, but we're still going to do the cabana. So like that's going to be an interesting, process because the cabanas are going to be close to the lines, dude. You know what I mean? But obviously we're going to make sure they're netted to protect and all that, but it's not going to be as like, wide of a surface area as you have in a cricket pitch because we're building a true baseball diamond. The other things that we're doing, like we decided, even though I'm an Astros guy and it was painful, but I see the New York Cats and like I went ahead and said, let's mirror this after Yankee Stadium. So we're going to be 314 down left field, 318 down right field.
I'm sorry.
And we're going to be 408 to center.
No.
Basically 2 short porches. There's a reason why Yankees, guys hit all these home runs, as you know, because left and right field are so short. So we're going to have those short porches, which is going to be great, I believe, for offense and for fans. So we have that story. We're going to build a traditional scoreboard in addition to the LED board that's mirrored off the one that they have at the Field of Dreams in Iowa, where it's a manual scoreboard that's being built. Obviously, it's named after Barry Larkin, my brother and co-founder of Baseball United, one of the best shortstops in history of the game, one of the best Black athletes in history.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, because, and that's another goosebump moment that Lark is going to have his name on that field. It was special for me to be able to tell him that because we wanted to honor him that way. Obviously, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 12-time All-Star, et cetera, but somebody that's been a pioneer for international baseball. And honestly, if it wasn't for Lark, I would not even started thinking about international baseball. He inspired me many years ago to start dreaming about where we could take the game. So I really wanted that field to honor him, and that's going to be cool. So there's all these things. It's going to be a turf field. These are things like actually I wanted it to be grass originally, but it's hot as hell out there. You need a ton of water with the grass. And again, since the Black Baseball Mixtape podcast is where I tell the really real truth.
We got all the scoop.
Yeah. Since you guys get the scoop, since my crazy ass moved it up to November, there's no way to grow grass in 2 months. We could have grown grass in 4 months, but so I was like, all right, we're gonna move it up to November to do the Arab Classic. We should do turf. Turf is more expensive. It's almost twice the cost of grass, but the maintenance over time, over a 15-year period, is less. So it's like more money up front. There's also a little less training. Think about this, man. I was at the Reds game yesterday. There was in between innings. There's 7 guys that are on the part of the grounds crew that are fixing the base paths in between innings. Nobody in Dubai knows how to do that. You know, we have to train everybody on everything. So even training the grounds crew is a thing, and it's a little simpler. Everything's hard, but it's a little easier with the turf. So synthetic turf, and so all those elements, we kind of got a mix of tradition, and we've got a mix of technology, a future of innovation. So just I can't wait to get out there.
Can we talk? Sorry, jeez.
No, I just, since you mentioned Barry Larkin and obviously his role, and you mentioned some of the ownership group, I did want to ask, because you've continued to add to the ownership group of Baseball United, and one of the bigger names that I heard of that was just exciting because he's an active current player in MLB was Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
Tell me about that philosophy of just like owning, kind of these legends, if you will, to the ownership group, and then actually adding current, players to the ownership group. What's the philosophy behind like that level of addition, obviously, to people that are invested in Baseball United's brand?
Well, guys, as you know, when we talked last year, we had 13 MLB legends as investors, and started with Barry Larkin and Mariano Rivera as co-founders, along with myself and John Miedrich. And we brought on Adrian Beltre. We brought on Elvis Andrus. We brought on King Felix. We brought on Nick Swisher. We brought on Ryan Howard. All these great guys. Robinson Cano, who's freaking lighting up the Mexican right now. He's batting over 400. He just hit a home run last night in their World Series.
Yep.
I'm so happy for Robbie. He's on fire right now. He's in the zone. But Robinson Cano, Bartolo Colon. And then we did a showcase, and I was like, you know what? One of the things we want to do now is open up this investment opportunity to current players. Because to your point, Cheats, we were just doing retired guys at first. Some of that is the dynamics is just harder with current guys because their schedules, again, transparently, there's a lot of layers when you guys are currently playing. You got 7 different agents of different varying degrees. You've got different people, which we're not that organization. Like I'll call Mariano or Albert myself. They'll call John or Lark myself. That's how we are. We're a tight knit group. So we wanted to make sure that we had the right people too, that we weren't like getting a whole entity entourage. We were getting people, individuals, players that really wanted to grow the game. And Ronald Acuna Jr. was one of the first of those current players. And he's been amazing. Obviously, still love and prayers to Ronald because he's got an injury again, unfortunately, that he's working his way back from, but he's going to be back better than ever. We also got Luis Severino, as you guys may have seen from the Mets, who's having an amazing comeback year. I'm so happy for Sevy. We have Starling Marte, who's playing for the Mets as well. So we got a strong New York connection.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
My this right here.
By the way, Astros. So I'm not a Yankees fan, though I love Aaron Judge, but I'm a Mets fan, by the way. So I
respect. See, I know the Zellies guy.
I love the Mets. So
I thought you were a Reds fan.
I'm a Reds fan here in Cincinnati. So I've been here forever. I'm a baseball fan. I'm saying Astros are my number one team, but I actually really enjoy the Mets. I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and our ownership with Bartolo, with Sevy, with Marte. John Miedrich is a Mets guy. So we got this Mets contingent in our ecosystem.
Let's go.
But we brought on those guys, man, and now we have 20 MLB legends that are investors, co-investors. You all know it is the most highest pedigree, most storied ownership group in all of professional sports. And I can say that without hyperbole. When I go to Europe, when I go to the Middle East, I say, because people don't know these guys the way we know. Yeah. And I said, guys, this is like Ronaldo and Messi coming together to start a soccer league. This is like LeBron and Steph coming together and saying, let's go build our own baseball league in Dubai. It's that caliber, as of Hall of Famers, over 3 centuries of big league experience, 75 all-star games, over a dozen World Series championships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And these guys not only put in their money, which we appreciate, but their time, their energy, their social media, their expertise, their credibility. 4 of those guys are on the board: Robinson Chirinos, Mariano Rivera, Barry Larkin, Adrian Beltre. they're on our board. I mean, so they're shaping, sitting at a table with me, shaping, deciding where we go. So it's been huge. We'll probably bring on some more guys. Sometimes it's kind of like, figuring out what's the right number, how many more people do we want to come in? Now we got a legit locker room. We got 20 alpha males that have a voice. So I'm like, dude, do I really after the showcase? I never thought I'd get the phone call that I got from my brother Albert Pujols, who was like, man, I appreciate you. Everything you did was great, but dude, you got to work on the meal selection in the locker room. He's like, you didn't have enough selection. You only had chicken. And guys eat more than that. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, we just literally built the cabanas with our bare hands, brother. We brought the game over here. But at the same time, I was like, I appreciate that feedback. And we're going to have more options, this year in the locker room for players. So, the guys get in the weeds on everything, and, it's a blessing, but you do have to figure out how we can move everybody forward. And my job is to get on a call with 20 legends and say, hey guys, here's the vision, here's the mission, here's what we're doing, here's what we need from you. And also, please tell me what you think, because we respect you and we care about your opinion, So I see us adding a couple more people. To be honest, I talked to 2 people yesterday that I believe will be great additions to our ownership group. I'll tell you, as the Astros were in town in Cincinnati, so let's see. We don't got any Astros as part of what we're doing. We have no Astros except Chirinos, who play for the Astros, that are investors. I want some H-Town representation. So I'm hopeful that we'll have some Houston representation soon in the investment group.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the teams. So last time I was over there for the Baseball United All-Star Showcase, some of the teams had different names. Now the Falcons have, and the Wolves have a new city or area assigned to them. And also there was an announcement in that event block that a Riyadh team is on its way. I mean, talk to me about the changes and the growth of the team list here at Baseball United.
Yes, as you know, we started with the Mumbai Cobras, the first professional baseball franchise in the history of India. And we went Karachi Monarch. By the way, I got Mumbai here too. We got the Mumbai.
Yeah, I told you we need the hats. I need all of the hats.
Yeah.
I got to tell y'all before we get off about merch, because merch is about to pop off. But and of course we'll get you guys everything. But then we had Dubai Wolves and Abu Dhabi Falcons. What we ended up doing, for multiple reasons, is we evolved the names of those franchises. So Dubai became the Arabia Wolves, and the Abu Dhabi Falcons became the Mideast Falcons. They're still based in those respective cities, but instead of being like the Dallas Rangers, now they're the Texas Rangers. Yep. They basically represent the region. And the reason for that is twofold. One, what we realized is that we probably won't be introducing new franchises as often as we maybe dreamed of 2-3 years ago when we started this. It seemed easier when we started, of like, okay, yeah, we can just get 10 franchises, call them this, get this. But then you realize, oh shit, this is a different foreign country. There's governments, there's regulations, there's sanctions, there's approvals, there's licensing fees, there's all this stuff. So really, we realized we're not going to probably have 12 franchises for a while. So we wanted those Mideast franchises to represent more of the region, so that even if you're in Dubai, you can feel like the Arabia Wolves are your home team. But if you're in Doha, you can maybe feel that too. If you're in Bahrain, you could feel that too. Even if you're in Saudi Arabia, you could connect with the Arabia Wolves, because that whole Arabian Peninsula, which is called the GCC, there's 6 countries in there that we're focusing on. So we really wanted them to feel attached to these franchises, be able to root for them in a passionate way. And the other reason, again, transparently, is we have a little less restrictions, a little more freedom of what we can do when we evolve the naming. Again, different part of the world. So it's different than if the 3 of us started a franchise in Houston, for example, or New York. There's a lot more regulations. There's a lot more input. If we want to evolve the logo and say, hey, we don't want red, white, and blue here, we want to put green here or something like that, 500 people probably need to bless it. I didn't know that in the beginning. I learned that, and I said, I appreciate everybody, but we're a startup. We have to move fast. We can't, submit something for approval and wait 6 months to get something back. We'll be out of business. So we had to kind of free up ourselves to be able to move at the pace that's required, that's demanded to do something like this. Now, the beauty of it is, I really believe that some of these cities, these countries, now that things are starting to move with the ballpark, there's so much hype. You know, the word Dubai was mentioned more in the United States over the last 2 weeks than it was in the previous 2 years in an earned media standpoint. I believe these cities and countries are going to come to us soon and be like, hey, can we have a franchise?
Yep.
You know, instead of us saying we want you to have one, you know, they're going to say, hey, we want a franchise in Doha. We want a franchise in Sri Lanka, you know, different parts of the region. That's the goal, honestly. That's the goal. We did announce a Saudi franchise. We actually did a partnership with the Saudi government and the Saudi Baseball Federation. So we have rights to 3 franchises in Saudi, but we're going to start with one, and it's going to be a Riyadh franchise. We're going to share the name, the full colorway, you know, the jersey, all that, after the BU Cup. So right after BU Cup, we'll have an event in Riyadh, unveil everything, and I'm excited because that's one of my favorite franchises from a brand creative standpoint. I love it. That's coming out in March.
I'm going to ask this because we're running short on time and I want to get you out of here. But you mentioned something in that last answer that really, it really hit home for me, because basically you're insinuating when other kind of franchises, cities, organizations, when they see it, they're going to want to be involved in it. And I agree with you on that. What I've noticed, and this might have been you personally, or it may have been your team. Like you said, you built out a team here.
Right.
But what I've noticed, especially over the last, I would probably say, let's just say 2 months plus, maybe a little bit, give or take. What I've seen from social, from your account, from the Kash Shaikh account, has been a lot more transparency about the journey.
Yep.
So at first, it kind of seemed a little bit more like, you know, BU, we're doing this, we're doing this. Then I started seeing little bit things that almost cross into just like, hey, as an entrepreneur of a startup, this
Yep.
is hard. Let me show you me addressing my team. Let me
Yep.
show you building. So you're documenting these things and people are starting to see it. And I
Yep.
really think that that is gained people to even be more invested in the narrative and the story of what Baseball United is. What is that? Is that a shift that you just made naturally, or is that something you were like, I got to show people what's happening here?
Well, I'm glad you noticed that, Cheats, because it's something we've been doing the whole time, documenting it, but just getting the inertia and the bandwidth to start sharing, as you know, as creators yourself, with the volume of stuff going on, took us some time.
Mhm.
But it's been our strategy for people to understand and learn about the making of the league, you know, the behind the scenes, what it takes, the people behind it, the challenges, the difficulty level, man. Like I was at an event in Dubai last week, and I said, on a 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest thing you ever done in your life, hardest thing I've ever done, this project is a solid 37. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It is so freaking hard. You think about cross continent, cross currency, cross cultural, multi-nation, intra-government, you know, professional standards and quality. I mean, it's so crazy, man. And I wanted people to understand that, because I think it's interesting content, to be honest with you.
It's
Also,
awesome content. I think it's
yeah,
actually, I think that that is actually more enduring content
yeah,
than just the regular, like, you know,
yeah,
we've got an announcement, we're going to show this. And no, when you're talking to your team, when they're showing some of the stuff that's like, yo, this is hard. This
yeah,
isn't easy. I think it draws people in more.
yeah. And that's it. That's the other thing. I really agree with you. I think people will be more invested, more passionate, more interested in what we're doing when they can identify with the people, the story, the struggle a bit more. And to be honest with you, you know, the last other part of 6 months has been talking to broadcasters around the world. I've personally spoken with over 60 broadcasters from ESPN and Fox Sports, NBC, CBS to MBC, Middle East Broadcast, of course, SSC, Saudi Sports Company, and everyone over in that part of the world. And I talk to them as much about the content series and the documentary and the behind the scenes footage and story, just like you have Dry to Survive and everything else, about building our league. As you know, because especially for the folks that don't know baseball, I'm like, look, we're gonna have to teach people the game. When they learn the game, they're gonna love the game. That's a journey, but everybody can relate. Who's a sports fan can relate to this crazy idea of this like ragtag bunch of underdogs trying to go across the world and bring a sport and a league to life. And that's compelling content. I was talking to Amazon about that last week.
Yep.
You know, we talked to Netflix about it. So we believe it's actually going to be part of our whole business model, in addition to it being content that, you know, gets fans more excited, in addition to it just being facts. You know, we're just sharing. We got the camera rolling. Social team is recording, for better for worse, and they're putting it out. Liam Veras is our head of social, who Flobo you met. He's doing an amazing job. Josh Varghese, JV, does an amazing job on content. And, you know, they just document, and we don't filter anything. We just put it out.
You know what? We're going to have to leave it there. That's the book, though. I just figured it out. Now, you're ahead of me. You're talking about Amazon and Netflix and so forth, because that's who you are and where you think. But I'm thinking this is your Phil Knight shoe dog. This is the book. This is the book that years from now, Kash Shaikh will write, and it'll be about the formation of this league, and people, not just sports people, but I think business people, entrepreneurs, all of those guys, all of the people that fall into that realm will start reading that. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm getting you out of here. Flobo, you got the last word. We got to thank Kash. Make sure you follow everything Baseball United. But Flo, what do you got?
First of all, shout out to Liam over there in the Baseball United podcast. Very, very insightful stuff.
Yes.
Look, if people are watching this now, they're seeing the clips. They want to not necessarily buy in the traditional sense, but they want to be able to follow you. They want to be able to buy the merch. They want to be able to see what you're doing. How do they go about doing that?
Kash Shaikh on Instagram, Baseball United on all social platforms, baseballunited.com. Next time, we got to come on a third time to talk merch when we launch. We got a big merch launch coming soon.
Asking for it, man.
Look, we are big fans of the way that you're growing the game. I'm becoming even more of a fan of the way that, like you said, you're showing people not exactly like the final product, but how you're growing the game. As obviously, as a Black baseball fan, Black American baseball fan, I would be remiss if I don't mention before we get out of here the numbers of Black and brown players you have in your league. Is exciting for us. It gives our community something to say, look at, point to, not only players in the league, but in your ownership group as well. It's all those things that, you know, when you're designing something from the beginning, you kind of have these ideas, but you can make it look like the world that you want to see. And it seems like you're doing that, Kash. We're really excited about it. So we'll have you on.
Just one thing to say on that one, because I'm really glad you brought that up, is because I'm very proud of it. And it's why we started this, to give opportunities to Black and brown players, leaders, employees, owners. 90% of our ownership group now is Black or brown.
Wow.
And we have 20% of our players are Black players. As you know, MLB is 6%.
Yep.
You know, and that's been intentional. It's been intentional. And we're excited about the opportunities we're creating. And even the fact now that we get to do it on a macro level with the Arab Classic, with these teams, India, Afghanistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, they don't get, guys, I was with them in Islamabad, Pakistan in January 2023 at a tournament called the West Asia Cup. It was a dirt field, man. They were playing a WBSC game on. Now they get to come play in a ballpark, a professional standards ballpark. That's the coolest thing. You know, there's a lot of awesome things with this league, but just giving those opportunities, if nothing else works out, we're grateful for the opportunity to do that.
We're going to have to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. We will be right back after this.